Now, you or someone you know probably suffer from one of the world's deadliest diseases, diabetes. But there's a US biotech company that has developed an effective treatment to this disease. Here to deliver the good news is the company's founder and CEO, Bruce Redding. First of all, Mr. Redding, welcome.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right, sir. So please tell us about your company and this revolutionary technology that it has developed.
The company Transdermal Specialties Global is a privately held company located in the United States. We have actually three different facilities. Two are in Frederick, Maryland, which
Hmm.
is about 30 miles west of Baltimore, and we have a FDA-approved uh, pharmaceutical research laboratory there, plus our own test clinic.
Hmm.
And in Gallatin, Tennessee, we make transdermal patches, where we have the capability of making about 1 million patches per month currently, which sounds like a lot, but really it's just a pilot setup. Uh,
Okay.
the company has about 13 employees in
Hmm.
our lab in Baltimore and
Hmm.
another 8 in our plant in Gallatin, Tennessee.
Hmm.
I'm the CEO of the company. I invented the U-strip ultrasonic transdermal delivery technology and what we call the trans insulin patch, basically a transdermal insulin patch.
Okay, and so this ultrasonic drug delivery technology, can you just tell us a bit about how it works and, what is wrong with the current treatment method?
Well, the current methods are needle-based, needle injection, either
Hmm.
through a needle or through a hypodermic needle or a pump. And insulin is too large a molecule to be delivered transdermally. Get a little bit scientific. If your drug is 0 to 500 molecular weight, your drug can be passed through the skin. If it's 500 to 1,000, you
Hmm.
need something to push it. You need to sandpaper the skin, or you need to use electric pulses. Insulin is 6,000 molecular weight. So if you put insulin on the skin, it will just sit there, will not be absorbed. The ultrasonic system that we developed has
Hmm.
two phases to the ultrasound. The first
Okay.
phase is sawtooth wave, which opens your pores. It literally makes the pores in your skin larger, from
Uh,
50 microns to 110 microns. Then
hmm.
the ultrasound switches from sawtooth wave to square wave, and
Hmm.
square wave pushes the drug into the enlarged diameter of the pore down into the bloodstream. So our ultrasonic drug delivery system is unusual because it doesn't use conventional ultrasound. It has a waveform that switches from sawtooth to square wave. And the other part of it does not have any heat energy, unlike ordinary ultrasound, which could burn a drug or discolor the skin. Because we switch from one waveform to the other, we never generate heat.
Hmm.
And we're able to put very, very large molecules into the skin that previously could not be done. The largest drug that we've done is 75,000 molecular weight,
Hmm.
and the largest we think we can do is 125,000. So that's about 90% of all drugs that are out there. Right now, there are only about 20 patches in the world, the birth control patch, motion sickness patch, things like that, and they're all low molecular weight. This
Hmm.
system could do low molecular weight as well as large molecular weight, and is the only such system in the world. So today, we're the only company in the world with a transdermal insulin patch for treating
Wow.
diabetes.
So, okay, just to restate this, just to make sure that I get it well. So, the drug is in a patch which you apply to the skin, and the drug then enters the body through those little holes on the skin, and that effectively eliminates the need for needles. Is that right?
That's correct. If you can see this, I'll put this up.
Oh,
Th-
whoa.
This is the patch. The blue patch is designed for
Uh-huh.
type 2 diabetics. There's
Right.
a white patch for type 1s.
Mm-hmm.
And if I turn it around this way, you see there's a central piece,
Right. I
which
see
is
that. Yeah.
like, that's like an absorbent pad that soaks the drug, in this case,
Mm-hmm.
insulin. And on top here, there's a control device which snaps into the patch, delivers the ultrasound, opens your pores, and
Yeah.
pushes the drug out the bottom into your
Mm-hmm.
skin. So the patch this particular patch holds 75 units of insulin.
Right.
There's a white patch which holds 150 units for type 1
Mm-hmm.
diabetics.
Right.
And the whole thing, this entire patch is
Mm-hmm.
self-contained. The drug is already preloaded. All you
Right.
do is peel away the bottom layer, stick it on your
Uh-huh.
skin, and plug in the control device. Uh, so the system is designed for both type 1 and type
Mm-hmm.
2 diabetics.
Right.
It The control device,
Mm-hmm.
um, you plug in what your starting glucose is. So let's
Right.
say your glucose is 200. To
Mm-hmm.
be a healthy normal, your glucose should be between 85 and 110
Mm-hmm.
milligrams per deciliter.
Right.
The device will calculate how many minutes the ultrasound should be on for to
Mm-hmm.
deliver enough of the dose to
Right.
deliver the drug. So let's say
Mm-hmm.
it start at 200, it
Uh-huh.
will deliver 8 units of insulin per hour
Mm-hmm.
and will basically bring you down
Yep.
to 85 to 110. Then the
Mm-hmm.
power level drops and it
Right.
levels you off for the rest of the
Mm-hmm.
day. Okay,
Whoa.
so it's automatic. At night, the system, if you're diabetic, you need to have your glucose under control.
Mm-hmm.
The system will prevent you from having nighttime glucose spikes, which
Right.
most diabetics have.
Yeah. So because it
And when
works
you have
automatically. Mm-hmm.
works automatically, and if you have a meal, that's the
Mm-hmm.
other burden for a diabetic. You have to calculate your carbs.
Right.
Let's say you're having spaghetti
Mm-hmm.
or Chinese noodles,
Yeah.
and you then have to figure out how many units of insulin to counteract the meal you're just about to have. And that takes about 30 to 40 minutes ahead of the meal that you're supposed to inject yourself. Well,
Right.
in our system, you don't have to do that. When you're about to have a meal, you just press what we call the bolus button. It will
Mm-hmm.
deliver 4 units of insulin in 15 minutes
Right.
and counteract whatever you just ate. So
Oh.
it's a lot easier for the diabetic patient.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to carb count. You don't have to switch from fast acting to slow acting insulins. A lot of people who are on insulin pumps,
Mm-hmm.
that takes care of what's called the basal rate, what they need every hour. Every hour, they need a certain amount of insulin. But when they have a meal, you need a bolus to counteract the glucose spike. And so they
Right.
end up using a needle on
Mm-hmm.
top of using the pump. Okay.
Oh.
Uh, with our with our system, everything, the insulin in the patch does both the basal and the bolus. Okay.
Yeah.
So we make this system in the United States, and
Mm-hmm.
we're now in phase 3 clinical trials in the
Right.
United States, and
Mm-hmm.
we're also in phase 3 clinical trials in South Korea.
Well, let me just say what you have done there is ingenious. And to be frank, I think this technology needs to be in every pharmacy and hospital all over the world. And I want to say why. Um, First of all, I am diabetic myself. I am luckily a type 2, so I don't need insulin, but I see that patch also has a solution to my situation because I was going to ask about what about type 2 diabetic patients? And so let me say this. About 2 years back, when I was diagnosed with diabetes, my fasting blood sugar was 16, which was 2.5 times higher than normal blood sugar.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the doctor immediately put me on insulin, and this was the pen that I got from the hospital. Now, inside
Right.
this little pen here, there is a needle which is about 1 centimeter long. Now, I only used this for about 10 days to bring the sugar down, and then I switched to pills. But the thing is that experience, it's very, very traumatic just to inject
Well,
insulin in your body
well,
every single day.
well. Let me in the type 2 category. Well, type 1s are the best way to think of type 1 diabetic. Their
Hmm.
body makes no insulin to regulate their glucose. and
Right.
they need external insulin to survive. Type
Absolutely.
2s actually, right, type 2s actually fall into 10 different categories.
Mm-hmm.
There are some type 2s who are insulin dependent.
Right.
They really, about 25% of type 2s need at least one injection of insulin a day.
Right.
Everyone else tries to do diet and exercise, or they
Mm-hmm.
try to use drugs like metformin or other such oral medications.
Right.
Now, the problem with the oral medications is they'll depress your glucose a little bit, but not all day long. For example, if
Mm-hmm.
you're type 2 and you have a cup of coffee, your
Right.
glucose can spike by as much as 100 points.
Mm-hmm.
And the metformin will never bring you back down.
Right.
Okay. So with the patch, even if you're type 2, you
Mm-hmm.
don't have to worry about your glucose. It'll always be stable.
Right.
So the system is designed for both type 1s and type 2s. Those who are type 2s have the other problem is that they may eventually become type 1s.
Right.
And it's basically this a way of balancing out your glucose during the course of the day.
Which is very ingenious, as I said, because you are actually solving the solution to both type 1 and type 2 diabetes. And the point I was actually trying to make is that you know, what your company has done is truly admirable. And I feel like a lot of people will have a good night of sleep because they will not have to think of that pain that they will have to go through every single day. So with that patch of insulin, I feel like it is incredible. It works automatically. So it addresses everything. And so and that leads me to the next question that I wanted to ask. How did you come up with this technology? Are you a doctor, an engineer?
My background, I'm a engineer. I was a U.S. space shuttle astronaut for 5.5 years, but I never got a chance to fly the shuttle. I used to design microcapsules of glue for the heat shield tiles to be
Mm-hmm.
stuck on the bottom of the heat shield tile. And those microcapsules, we made them using ultrasound. So when I left NASA, we started trying to figure out a way to use the ultrasound for something else and
Mm-hmm.
came up with drug delivery. Um, so my background has been all development of products and licensing. I licensed technology to DuPont, ConAgra, Ottens Flavors, General Mills, Nabisco, Sandoz Pharmaceuticals, a number of firms.
Wow.
Um, different aspects of the original microencapsulation technology, and now number one on our runway is an ultrasonic spinoff we call the ultrasonic strip, because we
Mm-hmm.
envision this as a band-aid with an
Right.
ultrasound device over top of it. So we call it the ultrasonic strip, or now the U-strip.
Okay.
That's how that came about. Um, but so all my development has been engineering and then licensing.
Mm-hmm.
My team consists of about 3 PhDs, biochemical engineers, pharmaceutical regulatory people, that type of thing. So, and by the way, the company is a private company. We're not a public firm. Uh,
Okay.
uh, we have no government grants. This is all developed internally.
Mm-hmm.
People often ask me if we did this with a college or not. No, we didn't.
Right.
We've used universities for some of our studies, but it was all
Mm-hmm.
developed in-house. All
Okay.
total, there are 21 patents filed on this technology. I think 4 are issued so far, and we have another 3 that are about to issue.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we have a sister operation in Seoul,
Okay.
South Korea,
Mm-hmm.
and we've been doing clinical trials at Severance Hospital there.
Right.
Plus, so that work at Severance Hospital should be completed in about a year, and
Mm-hmm.
then we will be. The plan is to go to uh, China and throughout Asia. So
Mm-hmm.
all of this is done internally. So um, the company has its own research lab, which we're now starting to look at other drugs for delivery
Right.
besides insulin. We now
Mm-hmm.
have a Parkinson's patch, which is about to go into human trials. So we've been quite busy.
Well, and I see you've been definitely been up to something. You didn't get to fly with NASA, but definitely you developed some technologies that can save lives. And I think that's very, very impressive. Now, Mr. Redding, you said I think the drug is undergoing the third clinical trial. So when do you expect what do you expect it to get approved by the FDA?
Well, right now we've completed in the United States
Hmm.
305 patients tested, phase
Okay.
one, phase two, actually a little bit longer phase two because we were making the device smaller.
Right.
The FDA asked us for the protocol for phase three, they wanted us to do a 90-day test.
Hmm.
And we said no one can stick in a hospital for 3 months. So we
Right.
just finished a trial with the FDA called the time and range. In
Hmm.
time and range, you keep the patient in the clinic for 14 days and you
Right.
demonstrate you can keep their glucose under control.
Hmm.
So we just finished that trial in June. So right now in the United States, we have about 300 more patients to do to get final
Okay.
FDA approval here.
Hmm.
South Korea, we need 150 patients, and will be approved there. So South Korea will probably be approved first, and then we'll be back to the United States and then moving around the world. Okay.
Okay. So what's the time frame there? Do you give it about, let's say, could that be done
I
within
think
this
in
year or early next year?
no, I think in Korea about a year from now, United
Mhm.
States won't be until 2024 because once you finish the third clinical trial, you still have
Right.
to wait for the FDA to do a review, and that could take as much as a year. So
Okay.
we don't expect it to be available in the United States until 2024. Okay.
Okay. I see. Because the reason I'm asking that, I am pretty sure that the people watching, they'll be very excited to know when the drug will come to market, and obviously to start using it, because as I said, it's just revolutionary. What they've done is amazing. And
Mhm.
what do you foresee as the biggest challenge, or perhaps will be the biggest challenge in rolling this technology out in hospitals and pharmacies, both in the United States, in China, I think, which has the highest number of diabetic cases, India, and the
Uh,
rest of the world?
China has 114 million diabetics
Right.
who could use the patch. Uh,
Absolutely.
South Korea is about 9 million. The United
Hmm.
States is about 37 million. So
Right.
our biggest roadblock right now, frankly, is finance, getting all this
Hmm.
clinical program financed. And
Right.
then we've already solved a lot of our manufacturing issues, made sure that
Hmm.
we can produce this. So technically, there are no other problems to overcome except actually showing to the FDA and the other
Hmm.
regulatory authorities that it works long term. So our real main hurdle right now is getting all the outside financing to get all this done. Okay.
Absolutely, because
So
that was actually the next question that I wanted to ask you, because I know projects of this magnitude requires a lot of capital, and I was about to ask if you've raised that, or if you are open to talking to investors, if there are any out there.
I'm sorry, I just dropped my patch.
It's
Yes, the the company has been self-sufficient up until now.
Hmm.
We have two corporate shareholders in Korea who invested, and they're also making our electronics for us.
Right.
So all the rest of the players are private individuals, and we're
Hmm.
now starting to reach out to venture capital and other firms. So we
Hmm.
do have an offering, and we can take investment anywhere in the world.
Right.
Um, so the stock of the company is $2.15 a share.
Hmm.
Um, investment. We are raising 12 million to complete the human trials in the United States and in South Korea. And
Hmm.
then the plan to commercialize this is basically, instead of going to doctors' offices around the world, we're basically going to what we call the super clinics. For
Okay.
example,
And what are those?
in the Severance Hospital in South Korea, they have
Hmm.
95,000 diabetics in their one clinic.
Wow.
In the United States, Joslin Medical Center has 300,000. So our plan is we're using these centers as the place where we do the final trials.
Hmm.
That those doctors and medical staff will become the most familiar with the technology, and then we will be marketing by essentially converting their patients on the needle to the patch at those very same clinics. So they're called super clinics because they have over 10,000 patients in one medical center. So of the centers that were involved in the last phase 3 trial, there are nearly 800,000 diabetics enrolled in those various programs.
Yes.
When we get to 50,000 patients, we're a billion-dollar enterprise.
Right.
So
No,
we're on the route to that.
absolutely. I feel like there's definitely a huge market for this because, as I said, yes, I think the IDF, the International Diabetes Federation, says, yeah, there are more than 530, I think close to 540 million diabetic patients all over the world. So that's a huge market.
Yes.
And what you've developed here is, in my opinion, the best mousetrap. And we'll be talking to investors in the very near future on this program, and I'm sure if there are anyone watching as well, they've heard the word Clear. We'll share the details and how to get in contact with you. Should they be willing to pour gasoline and take this thing, to all those different markets in the United States, China, India, I think, and the rest of the world.
Yeah, and in China, we're now checking the insulin that we're using is made by Eli Lilly. It is called Humalog or Lispro insulin, and it's the standard insulin made available around the world.
Right.
So we're now talking to the Chinese FDA, basically trying to make sure that they have no problems with us doing clinical trials in China.
Right.
So once we get approval from that, we will add China to our list to do trials. And of course, it's a very large population that we can service. So this system will save a lot of lives. There's no doubt about it.
It
By
is.
the way, cost-wise, the patch with the insulin is about
Right.
$4.50 per patch per
$4.50.
day.
Okay, per day.
So per day.
So one needs to replace that patch daily. Is that right? Because that's actually one of the questions that I wanted to ask, how often you have to replace it.
The original patch was designed to last 5 days, but the United States FDA wants the patch replaced every morning.
Okay.
So every morning you would put a new patch on.
Okay.
They want us to get experience with a daily patch before we go to a multi-day patch. But this patch can, if I wanted to, this patch could last a month.
Oh,
it could deliver enough insulin to last a month. But right now it's designed to be replaced every day. So if you add the insulin, the patch, the electronics, it's about $4.50 per day to use it, which if you compare that to a needle regimen, that can be as much as $4 to $8 a day. The pen that you have where you dial the dose, that can be as much as $16 a day.
Right.
And insulin pumps are about $28 a day. So we'll be very economical around the world.
Very economical, and on top of that, as you like you talked about this this pen, the problem with it, as I said, I use it for 10 days, and every time I think about this pen, my body gets traumatized. And so I think about people who have to just stick this needle in their bodies every single day. So what you have there, I think, is the right product. And what I want to say is congratulations on your company's achievement. I wish you more success, and I truly would love to see this come to the market very soon.
Great. I appreciate your thoughts. Thank
and
you
that's
very
all
much.
the time that we had for today. So thank you so much, Mr. Bruce Redding.
Thank you.
Thank you.